I have a fun little habit. Well, fun for me. Maybe. Maybe. Well, it is fun for me. I do enjoy it a great deal. And it's a habit. I used to have it as an annual tradition, but it's now into biannual. I mean, every 2 years or even more, depending on the context. It's changed. It's morphed with time. It's morphed with time. But it's an email that I send to family and loved ones that in that year have been really present in my life. I mean, present. We've done life together that year. And it has really three simple, easy questions. What have you seen me do really well? What have you seen me not do so well? And what areas do you think I should focus on? Change, growth, development. It's a very fun exercise because, I am eager to receive this from people. I actually genuinely want whatever their crudo, their raw feedback is on me. Like, I love it. I love it if I can get it. But it can create a great deal of an assortment of reactions from people like, what's wrong, Steph? Really? The first year I sent this out to some of my European friends, what's wrong? We don't do this here. This is not normal. And clearly coming from, at that moment in time, coming directly from corporate North America, in which feedback reviews are, an everyday thing, and PRPs and PIPs and all sorts of improvement plans and whatever, and 360 reviews and people giving feedback. It's very much American culture. It wasn't the case here. They were, what's wrong? We don't do this here. We either do it on the spot or we just accept people as they are. People were really taken aback. And it's still taken friends years to recognize that this is something Stephanie does. This is something Stephanie does. Because in the same way that we go to these changing rooms and we have 360-degree mirrors and we see weird angles of ourselves that we would normally not see, the same happens when these friends are bold enough to actually say their truth. And it's beautiful when they feel safe enough to tell me their truth. There was a particular friend who's not around anymore. He sent me his truth to me one year, and he didn't do it. He sent it by email, but then we had a follow-up conversation in another event, and he told me, Steph, you're really tough, and sometimes it feels as though you are intolerant with weakness. And I thought, oh my God. No way. No way. And I told him, you're right. I am a little intolerant with weakness in the sense of sometimes and I do mean this, and we're just softies. We're just bloody softies with life. And life, we can't be softies with life because life is hard. We have to be tough, or at least we have to find our toughness to affront life. So he's right. That is my attitude towards life, and that is also my expectation of others. Of you're tougher than you think. Period. So bring out your toughness. That is in me, and I push that out of people, and I know that. However, that does not negate the fact that I know that sometimes we are broken and on the ground, and there isn't any toughness left. I am just putty. And that putty needs to be held and to feel safe in order for that putty to become something again. That does not negate the other. But his sensation was that it did. And I thought, oh, clearly I'm doing something wrong. Clearly there's some growth to be done here in the sense of how I'm communicating these things to people, to people that I love, to patients, to strangers. And it was transformative for me. Not maybe it didn't seem like I changed much, but knowing that made me cognizant of it and gave me view to an area that I didn't see that I was communicating in that way. So when I gave that tough message, I also softened it with, I'm saying that to you because I still see your toughness. Although you feel like putty, and I know what putty feels like, I've been putty, I see your toughness and you can do it. So there's that juxtaposition of both things exist at the same time. So giving and receiving feedback is difficult to give it. It's very difficult to give feedback. Sometimes we think, oh, it was so easy for my boss to tell me that I need to shower more. Those are actually really funny conversations when you hear them after the fact, not when you have to give them. But that's never been said to me. But I've had colleagues who have had to say that to their employees. My God, that's just, oh, that's stressful. But giving feedback is really hard. It's really hard to give that feedback because it puts you in a situation of, I might do harm to you. I'm not sure how you're going to take it. This is conflict. It's, and different personalities handle this better than others. So giving feedback is difficult, and also receiving it is difficult because you might feel more vulnerable. You might feel defensive. You might feel like it's not true. You might not want to do the work of reflecting on it. You might not want to do the change that they're asking for. So it's a difficult streak to handle, to manage. It's a difficult transit. However, if you don't want to do the Stephanie model, which is this 1 year, this annual email to your friends and loved ones, feedback can be more natural, and it should be more natural. Let's be clear. I do this specifically because I want it written. I do want to create a space for myself mentally if I'm collecting this information. So I do want the structure of it and to archival information. There's lots of things that I'm looking for by doing it that way. But the best feedback that I receive generally is when it's really poignant and it's continuous feedback. And by continuous feedback, we actually do that naturally. You're always telling your partner, honey, that tofu, that was amazing. Or the fish you did make yesterday, oh my God, what did you use? That's feedback as well. It's positive reinforcement so that they continue to do it and they continue to tweak the recipe in the case of food to improve that. Or, the date we had last month was incredible. How can we continue to do that? Where did the reservations? Did you hire someone for the reservations? How was the search process for you? Whatever it is, continuous feedback is something that if we're communicating, it's actually happening naturally. So what we want to focus on when we do this, when we have this feedback, is what we want is to create a space in which my friend felt safe enough to tell me that. Possibly the hardest feedback I've ever gotten, possibly by far the hardest feedback I've gotten us to flat out from a friend. And to feel safe enough to share that in the sense of we can have these conversations. You can tell me, honey, I know you really like those jeans, but they don't look as you want them to anymore, or as you think they should. And I'll be a little heartbroken. It'll last me 30 seconds, but I'll be so grateful. I'll be so grateful you don't let me go out the door with jeans that make me look like a chorizo versus what I was actually looking for, which is Heidi Klum legs. Clearly, I'll be grateful. So we want to be safe. We want to be safe people for others to be able to share their truth, because technically these are people that love us. These are people that we love, and it means that we're growing together, right? We have our plants and we have our pot, and our plant are growing, and we want it to keep it growing. You go, you can't do it. So we want that. Or if it's a garden, we've graduated from the pot. Now we have a garden that we are working in this garden together. And if I've shared that, it's because I think that it's going to help us be better together. The reason I ask my friends for that feedback is because I want to be a better me for them. I want to be a better me because I like me, but I want to be a better me for them because I do life with them. And it's why I do it with friends that I've been with that year, that have done life with me, because it impacts them. They're the ones that have seen the tensions, that have seen my rough edges. So the intention has to be there of, it's for our mutual growth. It's not just for me to not let you go out the door with those jeans. It's because I think you've shared with me that you like this self-image of yourself, and I think those jeans are not actually doing that. So let me tell you the hard, maybe difficult truth around that. So safe people, continuous feedback. And then there are some models of feedback, which, if you work in corporate, if you've done any reading on business reading and feedback and managing employees, you might have come across these, but just some to give you some additional ideas. And remember that what we usually want to focus on as a general rule, is positive reinforcement and negative reduction. Whatever we focus on grows. Whatever we focus on grows. Whatever we focus on will grow. So let's focus on the positive. I want the positive to grow to such extent that I don't even notice the negative. And that applies to our relationships. It applies to all aspects of our life. And as we're giving this feedback, if I have to give you negative, critical feedback, it's because it's an element that it's no longer going to allow us to grow together. It's going to impede our growth because it creates tension, it creates a barrier, it creates a blockage. My Mr. X told me once, when I get under stress, I tend to just I shut down. I mean, I shut down emotionally. I go into my cave. I am cold. No, the next thing to cold, I am the next level of cold, is to say. I am not emotionally available. I shut down. Basically, not around. And for him, that was impossible to deal with because I, it felt as though I rejected him. But it wasn't actually purposely rejecting him. I was rejecting everyone because I just needed to go into my cave in order to push through for a specific task, for a specific project, or whatever it might have been. But getting that feedback allowed me to take, obviously, if I'm used to just being alone under periods of stress, I don't see how it affects other people. I don't see how it affects my partner. So getting that feedback allowed me to work on that. But if he didn't tell me that, obviously our relationship would have broken down, because anytime I would have had a peak of stress, me shutting down emotionally to him would have meant that basically he doesn't have a partner for that period of time. So we share these things because there are barriers in our mutual growth and our mutual gardening of our space. So a couple of references for you. So you have the positive and negative model, which is similar to the sandwich model, but you share positive things that are going really well, which is similar to the email that I sent. So there's no mystery there. There's the SBI, which you might have seen, which is the situation, the behavior, and the impact. It sounds maybe familiar to the NVC model, but you describe the situation. What's the situation that happened? What's the behavior that you saw? And then what impact did that behavior have on you, the people, the surroundings, and so forth. It Depending on who you're talking to, the parent, a brother, sister, sibling, your partner, it might help to draw really clear context of a situation. So depending on what you want to bring out or what conversation you want to have, these different models could be helpful. And then there's a Pendleton model, which I like, which is a two-way street. I say something to you about a thing that I like to change, and then you could say something to me of what you like to change. So, for example, thinking back on the guy that I was seeing, and we had our time conflict, and when I shared with him my suggestions, my clear action steps, he could have said, well, if maybe you would have had more flexibility in your schedule over the last 3 weeks, it might have been easier for us to find spaces to meet up. That could have been valid for him to share with me because for him, as he received it, we weren't able to, because yes, it's true, we canceled, but you also didn't have additional flexibility. So it's a two-way street, which makes it more of a conversation in which both parties are actually honing and tweaking, pruning. Some best practices for you. It's to remember to be assertive and empathetic. Remember, it's difficult to give feedback. It's difficult to give it. It's very difficult. It is not easy. So empathize with the person that is actually being bold enough and being kind enough to look out for your common interests and share this with you. And as you're being empathetic, be assertive. Clear examples, clear as you can, so that I don't have to do much memory around. I don't have to think back too hard as to what happened exactly. No, clear action. It was this, it was that word, it was that face, it was that gesture. Clear and actionable. Time and place. Choose a time and place. Well, this happens a lot in corporate, in which or in corporate done wrong, or I mean the business sector done wrong. When a boss gives negative feedback, critical feedback publicly to an employee, ugh, no, no. Time and place. Make sure it's appropriate to the time and the place. If it's constructive feedback, find a calm, similar to sex, right? We want relaxation, the calm, neutral space that the person isn't it's going to be flurried, that they're not rushed, so there's time to talk about it. There can be a discussion. It can be a two-way street, and we can just get the information out. Actionable. Let's make sure as we're being assertive and we're giving examples, we're also proposing solutions, and those solutions are actionable, similar to the NVC model. And I'd like to say to you, when you're giving this feedback, ask the person to tell you what you could do better. If you had to receive that feedback, what would you have liked, or how would you like to receive it in the future? What could I have done better in order for this to have gone more smoothly? And lastly, as we think about feedback and giving feedback, what we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect, whether it's with a friend or with a partner. So, for example, when that friend gave me that feedback about, weakness and so forth, and not being empathetic with weakness, I had to find a way. Maybe it would have gone the other way. He would have had to find a way to reconnect with me, which I'm sure he did. I don't remember exactly at that moment in time, but I'm sure he made me laugh with something, which broke down. It helped us. Like, I took the feedback, and then it helped us to reconnect again, because we have we had lots of common ground, this friend and I. So it helps you to reconnect, to re-cement the relationship that we are still in this pot together. And remember, this pot is with your partner, but it's also with your best friend. It's also with your colleagues. It's also with your family. We have many, many pots and many, many gardens, per se, if we've graduated from the pots. So find ways to reconnect with your partner. And as I said before, remember the three most important questions. That could be, since you know so many interests, you have so much information about your partner from that exercise, it might help you to reconnect with your partner using some of that. But humor is generally good. Humor is just, I think humor is just a great one. But kindness, empathy, or just doing something together because if we had to have a difficult conversation about something, that means there might have been tension before that. We've had the conversation. Hopefully the tension has eased, but now how do we reconnect again? So what are ways for you to reconnect with your partner, with your friends, and so forth? See you tomorrow.